Tonight we explore one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. A question that has haunted scholars, mystics, and dreamers for generations. Where did the gods go? For thousands of years, the Anunnaki ruled Mesopotamia from towering ziggurats that scraped the heavens. They received offerings of grain and oil and precious metals. They answered prayers. They shaped the destiny of humanity's oldest civilization. And then, slowly, mysteriously, they vanished from history. The temples fell silent. The priests stopped receiving visions. The gods who had been so present, so real, so intimately involved in human affairs, simply disappeared. What happened to them? Did they physically depart Earth, as some ancient astronaut theorists suggest? Did they die as mortal beings eventually must? Or did something far stranger occur? Tonight, as you settle into rest, let this ancient mystery unfold before you. We'll journey through 4,000 years of cuneiform texts, through archaeological evidence and scholarly debate, through the gradual transformation of humanity's oldest gods. Let the mystery carry you towards sleep. And perhaps in dreams you'll glimpse an answer. To understand where the gods went, we must first understand when they were here. The Sumerian texts describe an age when the boundary between heaven and earth was thin, when gods walked among mortals, when the divine and human realms touched at sacred places throughout Mesopotamia. The city of Eridu, considered by the Sumerians to be the oldest city in the world, was said to have been founded by the god Enki himself. His temple, the Iabzu, was built directly over the primordial waters, the cosmic ocean that existed beneath all land. Priests who served there believed they stood at the axis of creation. At Uruk, the great goddess Inanna dwelt in her temple, the Eanna, the House of Heaven. Kings claimed to have shared her bed, to have received kingship directly from her divine hands. At Nippur, Enlil, Lord of the Air and King of the Gods, held court in his temple, the Ekur. No king could claim legitimate rule without Enlil's blessing. His word was law throughout the cosmos. These weren't abstract theological concepts to the Sumerians. The gods were as real as the rivers that watered their fields, as present as the sun that rose each morning, as intimate as breath itself. This was the Golden Age, when heaven touched earth, before the silence came. Imagine Mesopotamia at its height. Massive ziggurats rising from the flat alluvial plains like mountains built by human hands, each one a stairway between worlds, a place where gods could descend to meet their worshippers. The ziggurat at Ur, dedicated to the moon god Nana, still stands partially intact today, 4,000 years after it was built. Its massive mud brick walls have weathered millennia of wind and sand. In its prime, this ziggurat blazed with color, each level painted a different shade: black for the underworld, red for the earth, blue for the heavens. At the very top, a temple sheathed in brilliant blue glazed bricks, where the god Nana was believed to descend each night, to rest before resuming his journey across the sky. Priests maintained elaborate schedules of offerings, food and drink placed before divine statues that were believed to be animated by the gods themselves. The statues were bathed, clothed, and fed daily. Musicians played to soothe them. Incense burned constantly to please their senses. This wasn't mere ritual. The Mesopotamians believed the gods literally inhabited these images, that without proper care, the divine presence might withdraw, and terrible consequences would follow. They could not have known how prophetic that fear would prove to be. The Anunnaki were not a single deity, but a vast pantheon, a divine bureaucracy that mirrored the complex administrative systems of Mesopotamian cities. At the top stood An, the sky god, whose name simply meant heaven, remote and majestic, and rarely intervened directly in human affairs. He was the source of all authority, but he delegated actual governance to his children. Enlil, Lord of the Air, held executive power. His word set events in motion. His breath could mean prosperity or destruction. Enki, Lord of Wisdom and Sweet Water, was the clever one, the problem solver, the god who created humanity and who saved us from the flood. Inanna, Queen of Heaven, goddess of love and war, the most complex and unpredictable of all, capable of tremendous blessing or terrible wrath. Below these great gods were hundreds of lesser deities, each with specific domains, gods of rivers and gods of fields, gods of specific crafts and specific cities, gods who served as messengers and servants to the greater powers. The Anunnaki, in the Sumerian understanding, were those gods who determined destinies, who sat in judgment over the dead, who maintained the cosmic order that kept existence functioning. This entire divine system would, over millennia, slowly transform, until the old gods faded from human memory, leaving only ruins and clay tablets behind. Whoa. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It unfolded across centuries, a gradual shift that those living through it may not have fully recognized. Around 2000 BCE, the Sumerian civilization began to decline. The third dynasty of which had united much of Mesopotamia under Sumerian rule, collapsed under pressure from Amorite invaders and internal strife. The ancient city of itself was sacked, its great ziggurat damaged, its population scattered. The texts from this period are heartbreaking to read. Lamentations written by priests who watched their world crumble, who saw the gods withdraw their protection, who wondered what they had done to deserve such suffering. These weren't just political upheavals. To the Mesopotamians, the fall of cities meant the departure of their divine protectors. If was destroyed, it could only mean that Nana had abandoned his earthly home. If Nippur fell, Enlil must have withdrawn his presence. The gods, it seemed, were leaving, and taking their blessings with them. But this was only the beginning of a much longer transformation, one that would unfold across 2,000 more years, until the last priest made the last offering, and the silence became complete. One of the most haunting documents from ancient Mesopotamia is called the Lament for Uruk. It was composed after the city's destruction around 2000 BCE, and it describes in vivid and painful detail the departure of the gods. The text begins with the goddess Ningal, wife of the moon god Nana, pleading with the divine assembly, begging them to spare her city. But the decree has already been made. Must fall. The gods must depart. Listen to these words written 4,000 years ago. After An had frowned upon all the lands, after Enlil had set his face against the land, after Ningal had been taken away from it, after the city had been destroyed, after the people had been slain. Nana went away from the city. The god of abandoned his dwelling. This wasn't metaphor to the people who wrote it. They believed with absolute conviction that the gods had physically departed, that the divine presence that had protected their city for millennia had withdrawn. The text continues with Ningal wandering through the ruined streets of her city, weeping over fallen temples and scattered bodies, mourning a world that would never return. This pattern would repeat across Mesopotamia, city after city falling, god after god departing, until the ancient order was utterly transformed. From the ashes of the Sumerian collapse, a new power arose: Babylon. A city that had been relatively insignificant during the Sumerian period, but which would become the dominant force in Mesopotamia for the next 1,500 years. With Babylon came a theological revolution. The old Sumerian gods didn't disappear entirely, but they were reorganized, subordinated to a new supreme deity, Marduk. Marduk had been a minor god, the patron deity of the small city of Babylon. But as Babylon's political power grew, so did Marduk's theological importance. The Babylonians composed a new creation epic, the Enuma Elish, in which Marduk defeats the primordial chaos monster Tiamat and is proclaimed king of all the gods. The old gods, including the Anunnaki, become Marduk's servants. They acclaim him as supreme. They grant him their powers and their names. This was a profound theological shift. The diverse pantheon of Sumer, with its multiple centers of power and competing divine wills, was being centralized, unified under a single supreme god. The Anunnaki didn't vanish at this point, but they began to fade, their individual personalities blurring, their distinct cults declining, absorbed into the growing cult of Marduk. What happened to the old gods under Babylonian rule reveals much about how divine beings can disappear from history. They weren't declared false or non-existent. The Babylonians continued to acknowledge Enlil, Enki, Inanna, and the others. But these gods lost their independence. A process called syncretism gradually merged different deities. Marduk absorbed the powers and functions of the older gods. He became identified with Enlil's authority, with Enki's wisdom, with the creative power of all the gods combined. A famous theological text lists 50 names of Marduk, each one identifying him with a different divine power or function. He wasn't just king of the gods. He was becoming, in a sense, all the gods combined into one. The old temples still stood. Priests still made offerings to Nana and Utu and Ishtar, as Inanna was now called. But the theological center of gravity had shifted. If you wanted divine favor, you prayed to Marduk. The old gods were becoming, slowly but unmistakably, obsolete. Not destroyed, not banished, simply fading, like stars at dawn, still technically present, but overwhelmed by a greater light. One of the most fascinating texts about divine departure is the Era Epic. Composed around the 8th century BCE, it tells the story of how Marduk temporarily left Babylon, and what happened in his absence. In the story, the war god Era tricks Marduk into leaving his temple, suggesting that his divine image needs repair, that Marduk must withdraw to the cosmic workshop to be restored to his former glory. While Marduk is absent, Era goes on a rampage, bringing war and destruction to Babylon and its empire. The text describes terrible suffering, cities destroyed, people slaughtered, cosmic order collapsing. This myth reveals the Babylonian fear of divine abandonment, the terror that their god might leave, even temporarily, and what catastrophe would follow. The epic ends with Marduk's return and the restoration of order, but it preserves an anxiety that runs through Mesopotamian religion. The gods can leave, have left before, may leave again, and without them, humanity is helpless against chaos. This anxiety would prove prophetic as centuries passed, and the gods departed one by one until none remained. The centuries rolled on. Babylon fell to Assyria. Assyria fell to a coalition of Babylonians and Medes. Babylon rose again under Nebuchadnezzar, then fell to the Persians under Cyrus. Through all these upheavals, the old gods continued to fade. Each conquest brought new religious influences. Each new empire cared less about maintaining the ancient cults. When Alexander the Great conquered Babylon in 331 BCE, he found the great ziggurat of Marduk in ruins. He planned to restore it, but died before the work could be completed. His successors, the Seleucid Greeks, had little interest in Mesopotamian religion. They built Greek-style temples to Greek gods. The ancient cuneiform script was gradually forgotten. The old priesthoods died out. By the 1st century BCE, the temples that had operated continuously for 3,000 years were falling silent. The last datable cuneiform text comes from 75 CE, an astronomical diary from Babylon. After that, silence. The voices that had spoken through clay for 3 millennia went quiet. The gods whose names had been invoked in countless prayers were forgotten. The Anunnaki had at last truly departed. Not in a single dramatic moment, but gradually, imperceptibly, like a tide withdrawing from the shore. Modern archaeology has revealed what the final centuries of Mesopotamian religion looked like, and it tells a story of gradual abandonment, of faith slowly dying. Excavations at major temple sites show declining activity over the final centuries. Fewer offerings, fewer repairs, smaller priesthoods. At Uruk, which had been continuously inhabited for over 4,000 years, the great temple of Ishtar shows evidence of reduced activity in its final phases. The elaborate rituals that had once required dozens of priests were simplified. The offerings became less lavish. The faithful grew fewer. Nippur, the ancient seat of Enlil, excavations reveal that the temple complex was eventually converted to other uses. Private houses were built among the sacred precincts. The holy ground became ordinary. The ziggurats themselves, those massive monuments to divine presence, crumbled slowly over centuries. Without maintenance, the mud bricks eroded. Without priests, the sacred flames went out. Without worshippers, the gods had no reason to descend. The physical evidence matches the textual evidence. The gods didn't leave in a single catastrophic moment. They faded away as their worship faded, as if the divine presence depended on human attention. And when that attention wandered, the gods withdrew. In 1976, a book called The 12th Planet proposed a radically different explanation for the Anunnaki's departure. Zecharia Sitchin, a self-taught scholar of ancient languages, claimed that the Sumerian gods were actually extraterrestrial beings, visitors from a planet called Nibiru, who came to Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago. According to Sitchin, the Anunnaki genetically engineered humans to serve as workers in their gold mines. They ruled over humanity for millennia, then departed when their home planet's orbit carried it away from the inner solar system. This theory has captured enormous popular imagination. Television shows, documentaries, and countless books have explored the idea that the gods were astronauts, that their departure was literal, physical, interplanetary. But here we must be careful, because what we want to believe and what the evidence actually shows are often very different things. Mainstream Assyriologists, the scholars who actually read Sumerian and Akkadian, have thoroughly rejected Sitchin's translations. His reading of Anunnaki as those who came from heaven to earth is simply incorrect. The term actually means princely seed or offspring of An. The gold mining narrative appears nowhere in authentic Sumerian texts. The planet Nibiru, though it does appear in Babylonian astronomical texts, refers to Jupiter, not to a mysterious 12th planet. We must not let our desire for extraordinary answers blind us to what the texts actually say. When we read the actual cuneiform texts, free from modern reinterpretations, a different picture emerges. The gods didn't depart in spaceships. They withdrew because their worship declined, because the social and political systems that supported their cults collapsed, because new religions and new ways of understanding the world replaced them. The Sumerian texts themselves provide explanations for divine departure. When cities were destroyed, it was because the gods had decided to leave. Divine anger at human failings, the mysterious workings of fate that even the gods had to accept, cosmic cycles that brought periods of chaos and renewal. In the Mesopotamian worldview, the gods needed human worship. Temples weren't just places where humans contacted the divine. They were the gods' earthly homes. The offerings weren't symbolic gestures. They literally fed the gods. When worship stopped, the gods had to leave. Not because they chose to abandon humanity, but because the connection that sustained their presence had been broken. This is a profound and somewhat unsettling idea, that the divine might depend on human attention, that gods could fade when no one remembered them, that the departure of the Anunnaki might have been, in some sense, our doing. Modern psychology offers another lens through which to view the disappearance of the Anunnaki. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, wrote extensively about the gods as projections of the human psyche, archetypal images that emerge from the collective unconscious, taking different forms in different cultures, but expressing universal patterns of human experience. From this perspective, the Anunnaki didn't go anywhere. The psychological energies they represented simply found new forms, new names, new mythological expressions. The Sky Father, who ruled in remote majesty, became Zeus, then Jupiter, then the Christian god. The wise god of waters and magic became Poseidon, Neptune, and countless water spirits. The goddess of love and war transformed into Aphrodite and Venus, then into Mary and countless saints. The gods never die in this view. They only change costumes. The Anunnaki are still with us, wearing different masks, speaking through different symbols, but representing the same fundamental patterns of meaning. This doesn't diminish their reality or importance. If anything, it makes them more real, not beings who could abandon us, but aspects of our own deepest nature that we can never truly lose, only temporarily forget. If this exploration of ancient mysteries resonates with you, consider subscribing to this channel. Not for numbers or algorithms, but so these stories from the deep past keep finding their way to you. The Anunnaki may have departed from their ancient temples, but the questions they represent remain. Where do we come from? What powers shape our destiny? What happens when the gods withdraw? Now, let your body settle deeper into rest. Let your breath slow, and let these ancient mysteries become a gentle current, carrying you toward sleep. We'll continue to explore what the departure of the gods means, what it reveals about human nature, and what legacy the Anunnaki left behind. There's no effort required now, only receiving, only resting, only letting the night hold you. The temples have fallen silent, but the stars that the Mesopotamians watched still shine above, the same stars, across 4,000 years. There is another way to understand the departure of the Anunnaki, one that neither requires spacecraft nor reduces the gods to mere psychology. Some spiritual traditions suggest that divine beings move through cycles, periods of presence and absence, times of revelation and times of hiddenness. The Mesopotamians themselves believed in cosmic ages, the antediluvian era before the Great Flood, when kings ruled for tens of thousands of years, the post-flood era, when human lifespans shortened and divine presence became less direct. Perhaps the departure of the Anunnaki represents another such transition, a shift from one cosmic age to another, the gods withdrawing not in abandonment, but in preparation for humanity's next stage of development. Many spiritual traditions describe an evolution of consciousness, a journey from dependence on external divine authority toward discovering the divine within oneself. Perhaps the gods had to leave so that we could learn to stand on our own, to find our own connection to the sacred, to become, in some sense, what they once were to us. This is a comforting thought as you drift toward sleep. The departure was not rejection, but graduation, the gods stepping back, so we could step forward. Imagine standing in the ruins of a great ziggurat, Uruk, or Ur, or Nippur, 4,000 years of history beneath your feet. The stairs that priests once climbed to make offerings are crumbling now. The chambers where divine statues once sat are empty. The sacred fires that burned continuously for millennia have long since gone cold. But something lingers in such places. Visitors to the archaeological sites of Mesopotamia often speak of it, a sense of presence in the absence, as if the divine energy that once animated these stones left an imprint, a residue of holiness that thousands of years cannot entirely erase. Perhaps this is what remains of the Anunnaki, not the gods themselves, but echoes of their presence, traces of the countless prayers offered, the countless hopes and fears laid before their images, the faith of generations soaked into the very bricks. The temples are silent now, but silence is not nothingness. In the quiet, something still speaks, to those who have ears to hear. Perhaps the most important question is not where the gods went, but what their departure reveals about us, about human nature, about how we create meaning, and how we let it slip away. For 3,000 years, the Mesopotamians maintained continuous worship of their gods, generation after generation, building temples and offering prayers, believing with absolute conviction that the divine was real and present. And then they stopped, gradually, over centuries, until no one remembered the old gods at all. What does this say about human faith? About the things we believe with such certainty today? Will future generations look back at our religions, our science, our ways of understanding the world, and see them as we see the Anunnaki, quaint beliefs of a primitive age? This is not meant to create despair, but humility, the recognition that all human understanding is partial, that the gods we worship today may be forgotten tomorrow. And yet, the search for meaning continues, as it has since the first Sumerian pressed the first wedge into wet clay. The Anunnaki may have departed, but their legacy remains woven into human civilization. Writing itself, one of humanity's greatest inventions, was developed in Mesopotamia to record offerings to the gods, to preserve their myths and hymns. Mathematics and astronomy flourished in service of temple administration and divine calendars. Law codes like Hammurabi's were gifts from the gods to humanity, systems of governance that still influence us today. The flood narrative that appears in Sumerian texts would be inherited by the Hebrews, becoming the story of Noah, spreading throughout the world through the Bible and Quran. The concept of divine kingship, of rulers chosen by the gods, shaped millennia of political thought, from Mesopotamia through Rome, through the divine right of kings in medieval Europe. Even the 7-day week, which structures time for billions of people today, derives from Mesopotamian astronomy, from the observation of 7 celestial bodies that the ancients considered divine. The gods may be forgotten, but the civilization they inspired transformed the world. We are their inheritors, whether we know it or not. Some philosophers have suggested that everything that happens has happened before, and will happen again, an eternal return of patterns and cycles. Perhaps the gods never truly depart. They withdraw for a time, then return under different names, when humanity is ready to receive them again. The ancient Mesopotamians believed that their gods could be awakened by proper ritual, that divine statues, through elaborate ceremonies, could become vessels for divine presence. The power was always there, waiting to be invited. Perhaps the same is true today. Perhaps Enki still waits in the cosmic waters. Inanna still watches from the morning star. The Anunnaki still gather in the cosmic assembly, awaiting the moment when humanity remembers them. This is a poetic thought, not a scientific one. But poetry often captures truths that science cannot measure. The heart knows things the mind cannot prove. As you drift toward sleep, perhaps you carry the Anunnaki with you, in your dreams, in your blood, in the ancient patterns encoded in your soul. After all we have explored tonight, the mystery remains. Where did the Anunnaki go? No single answer satisfies completely. The ancient astronaut theory captures our imagination but contradicts the textual evidence. The scholarly explanation of gradual cultural change is accurate, but perhaps too dry. The psychological interpretation is insightful but may miss something essential about the divine. Perhaps the truth combines elements of all these perspectives. Perhaps the gods were real in ways we cannot fully understand, present in ways that modern categories cannot capture, and departed for reasons that remain ultimately mysterious. Mystery is not failure, it is honesty. The recognition that some questions may not have answers we can grasp, at least not yet. At least not in our current state of understanding. And that's all right. The universe is vast, human knowledge is small. 4,000 years from now, our descendants may look back at us and wonder at the questions we couldn't answer, the mysteries we couldn't solve. Perhaps they will know where the gods went. Or perhaps the mystery will remain, eternal and beautiful. Your body is growing heavier now. The stories we've explored have done their work, filling your mind with ancient images, ziggurats and clay tablets and divine presences, fading into the comfortable darkness of approaching sleep. Let the mystery rest now. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to understand everything. Some questions are companions for the journey, not problems to be eliminated. The Mesopotamians lived with mystery. They didn't know why the gods acted as they did, why cities fell and empires crumbled, why the divine presence came and went. But they continued. They built their temples and offered their prayers. They lived full lives in the shadow of mysteries they couldn't solve. So can you. Rest now in the embrace of mystery. Let the unknown be not threatening but comforting, like the darkness that allows sleep, like the silence that allows peace. Yea. The same stars that shine above you tonight shone above Mesopotamia 4,000 years ago. The Sumerians watched these stars, mapped their movements, named the constellations that we still use today. They believed the stars were writing celestial cuneiform, messages from the gods traced across the heavens. When you look at the night sky, you look at the same sky they saw, the same lights that guided their calendar, the same patterns they saw as divine. There is a connection there, across all those centuries, through all those generations. The stars remember. If the gods departed into the heavens, perhaps they watch still from that vast distance through those ancient lights. Let the stars be a comfort tonight, the same stars across all of human history, witnessing our brief lives, holding our stories, shining on. Whatever happened today, it is complete, like the offerings made in ancient temples, given and received, done. You cannot change any of it now, but you can release it. Let it become part of the past, like the Sumerian texts now buried in museum archives, preserved but no longer active. Tomorrow will bring new mysteries, new questions, new opportunities to explore this strange and beautiful existence. But tonight is for rest. Tonight you join the long line of humans who have lain down in darkness and trusted sleep to restore them. The Mesopotamians rested too. After their days of labor and worship, they trusted the night to hold them, trusted the dawn to return. You can trust the same. The pattern is ancient, reliable, safe. The darkness is kind. It asks nothing of you, expects nothing, simply holds you. The gods may have departed, but the night remains, faithful companion of every generation. In the darkness, you don't have to be anything, don't have to achieve or understand or solve. You can simply be, existing, breathing, resting. The temples of Mesopotamia have crumbled, but the night they knew is the same night you know, the same gentle darkness, the same invitation to rest. Let your breath deepen, let your muscles release, let the night do what the night has always done, carry you through to dawn. If thoughts still swirl, return to breath. The Mesopotamians didn't have our word for meditation, but they understood the sacred power of breath. The wind was Enlil himself, every breath a touch of the divine. Feel the breath entering your body, cool air coming in, warm air going out. Each breath complete, each breath sufficient. You don't have to control it, just notice it. Let it happen, as it has happened since you were born, as it will happen while you sleep. In, out, in, out. No thoughts to hold, no mysteries to solve. Only breath, only now, only rest. Before sleep takes you, let gratitude visit. Not forced, not performed, just gentle awareness. You are here, connected to 4,000 years of human wandering, part of a species that has always looked up at the stars and asked questions. That's remarkable, worth noticing, worth appreciating. You have a place to rest, you have stories to wonder about, you have a mind that can reach back across millennia and touch the thoughts of ancient scribes. Thank you for this day, whatever it held. Thank you for this rest, this darkness, this peace. Let gratitude be your last waking thought, a soft light guiding you into sleep. You are safe. The thinking mind is not needed now. The planning mind can rest. The questioning mind can let go. There is nothing that requires your attention, nothing that cannot wait until morning. Let yourself sink, like settling into warm water, like descending into the Abzu, the cosmic waters that the Sumerians believed lay beneath everything. Restful, restorative, primordial peace. Sleep builds tomorrow's strength. Sleep is wise, not wasteful. Rest deeply now. Let every thought float away. Let sleep come. Your eyes are heavy, your body is still, your mind is growing quiet. Sleep is very close now. Let it come. No need to do anything, no need to try. Just let go. The ancient mysteries have settled into you. Let them work through the night. Let them become part of your dreams. Tomorrow you may see things differently. You may notice the ancient in the everyday. You may feel connected to something vast and old and mysterious. But for now, there is only sleep, deep, peaceful sleep. Good night. May your sleep be deep. May your dreams be mysterious and beautiful. May you wake with wonder. The gods may have departed from their ancient temples, but something divine remains in you, in this moment, in the mystery of existence itself. Rest now, sleep well, and remember, you are part of a story 4,000 years old and still being written. Sleep. Sleep.